Child shouts in court, "Please don't let them adopt me." The air was heavy with the promise of a fresh start as the judge learns the reason in a courtroom full with the subdued buzz of expectation. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. A little girl named Judith sat calmly while the events around her took place, her eyes wide and her heart full of unsaid anxieties. The Waynes, looking dapper and exuding confidence, waited for the judge's order designating Judith as their official daughter. The stage was set for what many believed to be a joyful affirmation of the orphan girl's promising future. There was a tangible air of expectancy in the room as the judge got started. Social workers had commended the Waynes for their lovely household and giving. The couple's evident commitment to giving Judith a comfortable and caring existence was praised by onlookers. The story that surrounded the adoption was one of a happily ever after, a youngster who had known nothing except the chilly confines of an institution. But Judith's pulse beat with a crippling sensation of fear beneath the surface of this idyllic situation. Her own voice was muffled by the weight of a hidden fear, while the voices around her sang of joy and fresh starts. All of it was in conflict with the nagging sense that was whispering warnings at the back of her mind. The smiles, the congratulations, the enticing promises of a life with the Waynes. Then, as if time were breaking apart, Judith's voice broke the stillness, saying, "Please don't let them adopt me." She sobbed, her appeal cutting like a razor through the ceremonial air of the courtroom. Her statement shocked everyone in the room, causing surprised looks and hushed queries to follow. The grins on the Waynes' faces wavered, giving way to looks of shock and betrayal. The judge hesitated, his eyes going from the documentation in front of him to the little, shaky person standing tall and proud among the grown-ups. The courtroom was dominated by Judith's plea, which stood in sharp contrast to the carefully planned events. The expectation of a straightforward adoption hearing had been turned upside down, replaced with a complicated web of feelings including astonishment, bewilderment, and a pressing desire to figure out why this young girl would turn down what so many viewed as a fantastic chance. Not only had her outburst interrupted the day's plans, but it had also lifted the curtain of a perfect future to expose the abyss of uncertainty and terror below. Within the Mary orphanage, Judith's days transpired in a realm far apart from the seriousness of a courtroom. There was Judith, a sight that frequently filled people with wonder and, ironically, reluctance as she stood out among the laughing and crying youngsters who shared her need for a place to call home. Her inquiries cut through the ordinary, and her observations revealed a level of intelligence well above her years, setting her apart in a society that frequently valued conformity. For Judith, the orphanage was a place of protection, but also invisible, with its reverberating halls and the same routine of everyday existence. Her soul was nourished by the nuns' kind smiles and words of support. They were nice, but it didn't stop the reality of her being turned down time and time again. Initially captivated by her sharp mind, potential parents would frequently withdraw, deterred by cultural biases or scared by the extent of her inquisitiveness. Because of her singularity, Judith's desire to start a family seemed to be always out of reach. The Waynes' curiosity ignited a flame of hope in Judith's previously closed heart. This pair appeared to see past her outward appearance, finding humor in her quips and admiring her aptitude for mathematics. For a brief while, everything felt good, and starting a family appeared possible. But this fresh promise was not without its shadows. When Judith's natural uneasiness kept her awake one night, she stepped beyond her bed's protection and discovered a terrifying reality that made her shiver. She listened, hidden in the shadows, as the Waynes talked not of love or family, but of trades and transactions, detailing intentions to sell her for cash to an anonymous criminal. But this fresh promise was not without its shadows. When Judith's natural uneasiness kept her awake one night, she stepped beyond her bed's protection and discovered a terrifying reality that made her shiver. She listened, hidden in the shadows, as the Waynes talked not of love or family, but of trades and transactions, detailing intentions to sell her for cash to an anonymous criminal. Her fantasy was turned into a nightmare driven by dread and a determined will to defend herself once the worst type of treachery was revealed. Judith took the audacious choice to reveal the Waynes in court. She was put in the public eye as a result of her risky but defiant actions. Her bravery was a protest against the darkness that threatened to consume her existence as much as a plea for her personal protection. All that Judith had to go on in that moment of truth was her determination and a burning desire for justice. With proof that might either destroy or heal her life, Judith's diminutive form belied the immense fortitude it held amid the quiet expectancy of the courtroom. A lonely figure, she stood in stark contrast to the powerful Waynes. The atmosphere was tense, with all eyes on her as she readied herself to deliver the truth that had plagued her days and haunted her dreams. The Waynes' once deceptive tones were audible when the tape played, revealing their evil intentions to everyone. The packed throng was rocked by Judith's disclosure, which sent shockwaves through the courtroom. The Waynes could only watch in shock as the proof sealed their doom, their facade collapsing beneath the weight of their exposed misdeeds. With a thunderclap, the judge's gavel dropped, signaling the prompt administration of justice. With their quick feet matching the heartbeats of all onlookers who were holding their breath, the officers advanced to apprehend the pair. Following Judith's courageous deed, chaos ensued. The media, which had previously shown little interest in the tale of yet another abandoned child, was now demanding information on the young woman who had stood up to her potential abusers. An overwhelming amount of love and support for the young girl who had overcome her worries to save herself and maybe others from an unimaginably terrible end was shown by the community as a whole. Judith, who was previously unnoticeable amidst the multitude of faces at the orphanage, has now evolved into a symbol of resiliency and hope. Her tale, which was reported in newspapers and on television, brought attention to not just her singular act of bravery, but also the more general need of paying attention to and protecting those who are most in need of protection. Her experience served as a powerful reminder of the value of giving voice to people who, like her, may have otherwise been hushed by the darkness. Judith's bravery ultimately accomplished more than just keeping her safe from the attackers. It demonstrated the ability of a single voice to break through obscurity, unite a community around the cause of justice, and inspire hope for the future by highlighting the strength that even the tiniest among us possess. Her courageous deed was recorded in the history of the courtroom drama and served as a tribute to the unbreakable character of a little girl who dared to defend herself, inspiring a great number of people in the process. Following Judith's brave courtroom encounter, the news of her story, previously limited to the gloomy confines of an orphanage and the clinical atmosphere of a legal proceeding, started to spread across the country. The story of a little girl who defied great odds captured the attention of the media, who widely reported on her suffering. This unintentionally created the conditions for an almost unbelievable turn of events. A couple watched the news in a quiet homeroom far from the courthouse, their sense of surprise and hope building. Judith appeared on the screen for Jackson and Janice, who had suffered years of agony over the death of their daughter at the ruthless whim of her captor. Something sparked inside them, something as real and strong as a parent's instinct, maybe. What sealed their decision was the strange mark on a necklace, just like the one their daughter had worn. This girl clearly carried the marks of their own flesh and blood, and she valiantly stood up to those who wanted her harm. The trip to Judith was a roller coaster of feelings, uncertainty guarded by hope, sorrow harboring the possibility of unfathomable delight. Anxiety filled the air as they finally stood in front of Judith. Years of suffering and desire vanished the instant their eyes locked. Their stories of an abduction that had shattered their family and the years of desperation that followed, thinking their cherished child was lost to them forever, were told with tears streaming down their faces. Judith listened, a plethora of conflicting feelings making her heart race. A sense of belonging she had never dared to think of filled the gap left by not knowing where she came from and the sensation of being lost in the world without an anchor. Her long, weary spirit found solace in the knowledge of her actual identity and her relationship to her biological parents. The reunion was more than simply the reunification of family members split apart by unforgiving circumstances. It was evidence of the continuing power of familial ties, and a ray of hope that love might triumph even in the most difficult circumstances. This amazing turn of events was hailed by the community that had come together to support Judith during her time of need. Unwavering in their support, the family started the process of healing and reconstructing the life that had been stolen from them. The world appeared to change as Judith accepted her new, old existence. The joy and warmth of a reunited family began to overcome the anguish, hardships, and worries of her background. She discovered that her circumstances would no longer define her in the future. Instead, what would matter was the love she had around her and the resilience she had displayed in the face of hardship. Many others found hope in Judith's narrative, which took her from the depths of despair to the heights of ecstasy. It served as a reminder that the most surprising and lovely of endings might result from courage, the act of listening to one's inner voice, and the unwavering spirit of optimism. Her journey, which was characterized by bravery, tenacity, and the amazing turn of events that allowed her to return to her family, served as a moving example of both the unwavering ability of love to transform and heal people, as well as the possibility of atonement in life. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.